is Suicide Awareness Month. So for those of you who are watching this video, you probably know Tina, you've seen her in the arena, but many of you probably don't know that she lost her daughter Isa to suicide in 2012 and has a lot of experience going around talking about this really important and very sensitive topic. So can you tell us about Isa?
Absolutely. So Isa's full name is Isabella, and we called her Isa. Some people called her Izzy. We used to call her Bella when she was a baby because she was a big, chubby baby Bella. But yeah, she was just such an incredible, amazing child from the time she was born. She just had this charisma and this vibrance. Everybody wanted to hold her, everybody wanted to be around her, and she just loved people and loved the attention. And she grew into such a lovely young lady. She was hilarious. Best sense of humor. We had the exact same sense of humor. And she was beautiful and athletic and hilariously silly. Her favorite thing was to make people laugh. And she would pretty much do anything to get people to laugh. She would throw her body around or just say crazy things. And we laughed a lot together.
And she was an equestrian too, right? A lot of horse experience.
Yeah, she started riding when she was about 7 years old. And she got her first horse when she was just past her 10th birthday. So her horse's name is Ted, and he's a beautiful Palomino. And she was just so in love with him. She was obsessed with her beautiful boy. But she started to experience some issues. I believe it was shortly after my mom passed away. My mom and Isa were really close, and my mom had cancer and fought cancer for about 2 years. And she died in 2010, December of 2010. And it was shortly after that we were informed by one of Isa's friends who shared with her mom that Isa was self-harming, which basically means, she would, cut her skin. And I wasn't really sure what to make of that. That kind of seemed like, I think it was kind of looked at as kind of a fad. I think a lot of kids were engaged in that kind of thing.
I remember hearing a lot about that at school. Was a big thing they talked about.
Yeah, and as a parent, really confusing. I'm like, is that something that kids are doing for attention? Is it something the kids are doing because they're trying to cope with something and they just don't have the coping skills? I am embarrassed to admit that I was kind of angry when I found out because, and I told Isa, I'm like, you're a beautiful, young person. Why would you do this, to yourself? Why would you cut your skin? Why would you harm yourself? You're beautiful, and whatever we need to do to help you get through whatever you're going through, we'll do. And so we did put her in therapy. That was kind of our first dabble in knowing something was wrong and kind of, seeking out a therapist. And it kind of lasted for a couple of months, and the therapist is like, I think she's got some good coping skills now, and she kind of sent us on our way. I think it was about a year later, we found out Isa was engaging in other kinds of self-harm too, and this time we went to a day program at Alexian Brothers. So it was like a 3-week program, and they taught coping skills, and they would bring the families in and teach us things too. And at the time, I thought it was helpful. They had a psychiatrist diagnosing Isa. They said, depression and some anxiety. She had a couple therapists there, and then once she was released from that program, they said, you need to have a psychiatrist and a therapist of your own that you can continue with, after the program. So we had that, and Isa was put on an antidepressant medication, which I think seemed to help, but she did have side effects where she was having a lot of trouble sleeping at night, and that was really affecting her, just making her exhausted during the day, and I think just kind of exacerbating her depression. But Isa did not present with depression like most people think you would. A lot of commercials on TV, I like to describe this, it's like kind of a dark gray screen, and there's sad music, and people are in their bathrobe, and they can't get up. And Isa was never ever like that. She was always, 99% of the time, vibrant, laughing, hilarious, helping other people, like helping friends, looking out for her friends. She was in cheerleading. She loved to do that, so she had to take some tumbling classes. She'd be riding her horse. She kept up with her homework. She was a rock star for the most part. She wasn't perfect. She got in a little trouble sometimes too. She was a little naughty, but that was just part of, I think, her personality.
Teenagers.
Yeah, and trying to manage through those years. But so yeah, when
so there weren't a lot of real obvious signs.
no, I think a lot of people think when somebody has depression that it kind of almost makes sense when they eventually take their life, and that's not the case at all. There's so many of us walking around out there with depression, anxiety, any range of mental health issues, eating disorders, addiction, schizophrenia is kind of a popular one to make movies about, really scare people, but bipolar, borderline personality, all these different mental health issues, a lot of people walk around with those every day and you wouldn't even really notice.
There's no way to tell what somebody's going through.
Exactly, a lot of times. So, and a lot of people don't really present with those traditional depression symptoms, and Isa was definitely one of them. Although, again, she was diagnosed, she did have, formal diagnosis, and she did have medication. We tried a couple of different kinds to try to find something that didn't have a lot of side effects. But in the end, I know that she did stop taking her medication at some point, although I was giving it to her every day with some vitamins and probiotics. Her friends told us after she passed away that they knew she had stopped at some point taking her meds, and that can actually bring on a suicidal episode. Starting or stopping medication suddenly can, have a huge effect on your mental health. So Isa had come to me and said, I'd like to stop taking the medication. I feel really good. And we went to the doctor, and the doctor said, let's wait until summer. And that way you don't have to deal with any other issues. You don't have to deal with school when you're going off your medication. She's like, so just, a couple more months, and then we'll kind of, wean you off the medication. So I believe she had probably stopped taking it before that appointment, because then she had started back taking it again. When at the time of her passing, she did have a normal amount of her medication in her system. So she had stopped and then started back up again, which again, either of those things, stopping and starting, can bring on a suicidal episode.
So like the abrupt stopping or starting as opposed to waiting and weaning off, or changing medications where you might need to wean on and off of it.
Exactly. So I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but Isa did take her life in December of 2012, and we did not see that coming at all. As a matter of fact, most of the doctors and therapists all said that she was not a suicide risk. When they would evaluate her. So again, I think for me, and what I've come to understand for myself, this is kind of how I've come to deal with things and kind of describe things to help me, is that I think sometimes a suicidal episode can be brought on by just a break in your human spirit. That's how somebody described it to me once, the breaking of the human spirit. I also describe it as a breakdown of your survival instinct. Because I've come to realize our strongest human instinct is to survive. From the time we're born, we are, literally programmed to cry when we're cold, cry when we're tired, cry when we're hungry, really survive at any and all costs. So I think when someone is able to take their life, there is a major dysfunction of that survival instinct for whatever reason. So I think, especially with teenagers, they can be extremely impulsive. So you add that into the mix, and it sort of can create a perfect storm. And again, we'll never know exactly what happened and why, but these are things that I think could have contributed, things that, you know, I can come up with that, you know, may or may not have contributed to the end result. But yes, we were absolutely shocked and shattered and devastated to lose our beautiful girl. She was only 15.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and we still miss her. It's been almost 10 years. And, you know, I still have days that I can hardly breathe because I miss her so much. She was just the light of my life. And man, when she came into the world, my entire being changed. So I do miss her, but I do feel like she's around. I know we still have her horse. We were actually in the process of moving to a beautiful property a couple miles away from where we had been living. We were moving to a property where we could have both have our horses in our backyard.
Oh.
So she had picked out her bedroom, and she picked out her horse's stall and everything, and she died about 2 months before we moved in.
Oh.
So it's been very hard, but also just knowing that she knew where she wanted her horse to be and what stall she wanted him in. And so we take real good care of him, and he's fat and happy and retired and living his best life. So I feel like she's never too far